Good afternoon, my name is Nestor Chorus, and today's speech I'll be giving has to do with what CrossFit is. Does anybody have an idea what CrossFit is at all?
A workout program?
Some people would say that, yes, you're partially right.
You do a lot of like cardio mixed in with other stuff. I've seen people doing it before.
Partially correct, that's true. Can anybody define what fitness is or what the definition of an athlete is? In your own words, like what's an athlete or what is fitness? Anybody? No? Well, I'm about to explain to you what CrossFit defines as what fitness is, and then what Webster's dictionary defines as what fitness is. Next slide. CrossFit is a core strength and conditioning program. It has designed a program to elicit as broad an adaptational response as possible. CrossFit is not a specialized fitness program, but a deliberate attempt to optimize physical competence in each of 10 recognized fitness domains. These fitness domains are cardiovascular, respiratory endurance, stamina, strength, flexibility, power, speed, coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. Can you tell me why these are the main characteristics of fitness as CrossFit has defined? No? Well, basically in a nutshell, it's just to show these 10 characteristics are what every athlete, what the truest athlete should have in terms to perform a sport, such as gymnastics. Gymnasts are considered to be the truest athletes according to CrossFit because they have all of these characteristics. The athletes of CrossFit are trained in many diverse and randomized physical challenges. This type of fitness is demanded by military personnel, police officers, and even your average housewife that require physical prowess. Next slide. The CrossFit program is distinctive if not unique in its focus on maximizing neuroendocrine response, developing power, cross-training with multiple training modalities, constant training, and practice with functional movements and the development of successful diet strategies. CrossFit is constantly redefining fitness in the aspects of physical strength, metabolic strength, and endurance. Next slide, please. CrossFit trains their athletes in gymnastics from rudimentary to advanced movements, garnering great capacity at controlling the body both dynamically and statically while maximizing strength to weight ratio and flexibility. They also place a heavy emphasis on Olympic lifting to develop the athlete's explosive power. They also encourage their athletes to take upon the sport. The main reason for this is to put their level of fitness to the test. Why would you want to take a normal average guy and tell him, hey, you should go play a sport? Anybody take a wild guess? As to like why that would be the ultimate way to show their level of fitness?
Because it combines all the characteristics you talked about.
True.
But
He doesn't have any specialized training for that sport, so if he can just walk into it after doing CrossFit.
Right. And at the same time, it's not, by no means is CrossFit saying that they're going to make you the elite athlete for that particular sport. By no means are you going to be an expert at that sport, but you will be able to hold your own. You take a marathon runner and you tell him, go swim, 1,500 meters. Can you do it? Probably not. You take a cyclist and tell him, hey, go run a marathon. Can you do it? More than likely not. Now, you take the average CrossFit athlete and tell him, hey, go run a marathon. Could he do it? More than likely not, but he would probably hold his own. Tell, the gymnast, go do a clean and jerk, which is an actual CrossFit exercise. More than likely, probably can't do it because they're not training for that particular type of sport. But with the 10 different characteristics, the CrossFit athlete can and probably more than likely will be able to perform that specific exercise and, go above and beyond. Next slide, please. An effective approach. The conventional ways of working out are no longer producing effective athletes. From the magazines to the trainers, the belief that conventional exercises such as lateral raises, bicep curls, leg extensions, coupled with 30 minutes on the treadmill will produce results is disappointing. Why? Why are the old conventional ways no longer producing results?
These are specifics for one body part, or just to train for one particular event.
Yeah, and it's also that it's not functional. How is doing a bicycle curl functional to anything in everyday life? How many times are we going to sit there and do this all day? Probably not too many times. How many times are we going to literally be running on a treadmill in everyday real life? Probably never. If you seriously have to get away from something, if you seriously are going to have to go chase somebody, you're not going to run a treadmill. You're going to be running on actual hard surface or sand or grass. Next slide, please. CrossFit has replaced conventional exercises with pull-ups, push presses, squats, and there are many more, such as the clean and jerks, such as thrusters, such as burpees, which are 6-count push-ups. Mainly because these are functional exercises. The pull-up, you're gonna always need to do the pull-up to pull yourself out of something, or to get yourself above, stairs or a wall or anything of that nature. Squats, we do it every day when you sit down, when you get out of the car, when you sit in a chair. Especially for the elderly, squats are very important because as you get older, your joints you're pretty much not as limber as you were when you were younger. Because the compound or functional movements in high intensity is radically more effective at eliciting nearly any desired fitness results. No, this is not a matter of opinion. It is an irrefutable scientific fact, and yet the marginally effective old ways are still practiced to this day. So what is the CrossFit method? To establish a hierarchy of efforts and concerns that builds as follows. Diets. Kind of direct your attention over to the whiteboard. The theoretical hierarchy of development. That is the basic foundation of what CrossFit strives for. That pyramid, everything starts with nutrition. Without having a proper balanced diet, everything else from there on out you could no longer do. In terms of your metabolic conditioning, that's your heart rate, running, riding a bike, gymnastics, which people say, yes, gymnastics is a sport within itself, but within itself there are many elements that incorporate, you gotta have your nutrition, the metabolic conditioning. Without being strong, without being able to throw a weight or have proper weightlifting, which then ultimately the sports, that's what you want to strive for. Is by no means is CrossFit going to make you, the perfect athlete, but it will make you a better athlete, and you will be able to perform the sport itself. On this side of the whiteboard, fitness is just one part of. It's a small characteristic of being what's healthy, basically. Fitness, wellness, and sickness are the three characteristics of what health is defined as, and this is what CrossFit defines health is. You're gonna get sick, but you will get better. And every time you get sick, you actually, once you recover, you are actually stronger than when you were sick or before you were sick. Wellness and then fitness itself, they're all measured by these key elements. Blood pressure, body fat, bone density, flexibility. We all go through these things whenever we go get a physical done. And basically, the assumption is that if everything we can measure about health will conform to this continuum, then the health is measured by the three single qualities: fitness, wellness, and sickness. In conclusion, next slide, please. And whatever we choose to do in our lives, one thing is for sure: fitness will always play a vital role in how we live our lives. For some, it's a matter of life and death, and for others, it's just wanting to look good. No one reason is more important than another, but what is important is that we as society need to start taking control of our lives and be willing to explore new ideas of working out that produce results. This method is CrossFit. Thank you very much. That concludes my brief.